part 2 of my series on contact here at Partnership Dressage. So here we have 3 common bits. We have a regular single joint snaffle loose ring, and we have an eggbutt snaffle single joint, and we have a loose ring double jointed French link. So these are common in dressage. This one's maybe more common in the hunters, but they all have a different effect on the horse. So Dawn is going to be our little horse today, and we're going to see what the bit feels like and how much weight in the reins is ideal and how that translates to the horse, which is Dawn's arm. This is Dawn's arm, is the horse's mouth. Okay, so let's start with this most. So this is the one, this is the bit I ride most of my horses in. And there's a reason for that, which we'll get into after we hook Dawn up here. Sorry, Dawn. And the good thing about this is Dawn is a totally she's not been privy to this before. So she will be a totally neutral. So lower your arm a little. So you're like horse length, you know what I mean? Actually, we should probably have her sitting on the mounting block. Okay, so now we have Dawn situated in a chair to mimic sort of the angle of the bit in the horse's mouth. So what we decided in the last contact video is I thought about 1/2 kilogram was what I consider ideal contact. Actually, there was an article which I posted on my website about some Germans did a study of the weight of the rein with side reins, and they measured what the horse took in the side rein. So when left either super tight or super loose, the horse actually preferred, and I think it was 1 pound, I think. Well, I'll have to check that for sure, but 1 pound, so it's about congruent with what I've found. My contact might be a tiny bit lighter than that, so 1/2 kilogram.
Okay, right, so kilograms.
So it's roughly a pound. I'm maybe a little lighter than most, but that's kind of the way I ride. So now, Dawn, this is about, can you zoom in, Armatine? Is that 1/2 kilo? Yeah.
I'm looking at 5 on the line. Is that what you want?
0.5, yep.
Yeah, 0.5, but it looks like it right there.
That's, yeah, 1/2 kilogram.
Okay.
So now what does that feel like on your arm?
I can feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's
it's not hurting or anything, but I can feel it.
Okay.
It's there.
So now I'm going to pull a little bit, Dawn. So this is now
resist.
the way I used to ride. This is just, I doubled it. So now it's 1 kilo. This is 2 pounds. This is a pound more than a horse will take on willingly.
Yeah. You can feel it, a little more pinchy.
Right. So this contact for me is too much contact. But this is probably how a lot of dressage riders ride just in general. Now, if you've ever had your instructor tell you the horse needs to be supple, so we need to supple the horse.
That's not very comfortable.
Not very comfortable.
No.
And the other thing we'll notice is there is a little bit of play in the bit rings, if you can zoom in on the bit rings. But in the single joint snaffle, see how the bit is only going to go, now I'm pulling on this rein more, I'm pulling on this rein more. You see how the corners, what would be the corners of the mouth, it doesn't pull through as much with the single jointed snaffle. You'll see the double jointed snaffle, the difference. But what you'll also notice is the difference between, now I'm giving, so this is 0, between 1 or 0.5, which is 1/2 kilogram, we'll just call this 1 pound.
1 pound.
And a give, or Dawn, if I go like this and I give just 1 rein, can you feel the difference between 0.5 and a give? Do you feel me releasing pressure? Is there a release of pressure on your arm?
Yes.
That's both reins. That's
Yes.
1 rein. That's 1 rein.
Yes.
And do you notice that the bit stays fairly balanced in your arm when I give with 1 rein?
Yes.
It doesn't pull
Go to the
through.
other side. No,
Right.
I don't feel like it goes. I feel like the other side is still contacted.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So this is those particular reasons are why I prefer a single jointed snaffle. For me, the give is more obvious in a single jointed snaffle, and we're going to show you this with the double jointed snaffle in a minute, but I just want to give context for why that is. There are negative things about a snaffle too. For instance, if I go like this,
Owie.
it gets real uncomfortable pretty quickly.
Pretty quick.
So that's the downside of the snaffle. So, but what I always tell people is if you think a single joint snaffle is too harsh, you shouldn't be pulling that much.
Which one are we doing? This one next?
Yeah, we'll do that one, because that's still a single joint, but it's got a set. So now this is not a loose ring, this is just a, egg butt. So here's the same, this is a give, and this is the 1 pound. Now, if I go back and forth, you can see, for me, actually, it's a little bit off the center. There, okay. Turn your fist towards you. Yeah, perfect. There you go. Yeah, perfect. To me, this actually moves even less than the single joint. Like, I can pull it. Well, maybe it's about the same. What do you feel, Dawn? Is it heavier?
Feels heavier to me.
It is heavier. This
Feels
is
heavier.
this is a solid, like, brass. This is a really heavy bit. This was
Yeah.
the bit I rode my thoroughbred in for a long time because he was super mouthy.
Yeah.
Now when I give, can you still feel the give?
I can feel the give, but not as much.
Not as much.
Not as much. as
Right,
this bit.
right. And this is what I feel like. Again, for a horse that doesn't turn, see how this really, I'm pulling out and back and it's hardly turned
Yeah, it's-
in the
yeah.
mouth at all.
Yeah.
So for a horse that, like my thoroughbred, was super mouthy, not so great at turning, leaned on the reins, blah, 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 this was the bit I found worked best for him. He's not in this bit anymore, but it's definitely feels harsher. Like when I pull, that's as much as I pulled in the other.
Yeah. Yeah.
About the same
Yeah.
or like more uncomfortable.
A little bit, maybe teeny bit more comfortable.
Okay, but a little bit less lateral movement.
I just
So
don't
again-
feel the release as much.
Right,
The release isn't as quick and as
Right.
much. It's still like, it's muddy, like it
Yeah.
still hangs there.
Yeah.
In the release.
right. And wait till you see the
Yeah.
single joint, the double jointed. So this is really interesting. And I found this out just me being the horse a few months ago or however we did that. Just throw that on.
Sorry. I'm like confused. It's all good. Momentary moment.
Okay, so now the first thing I think you'll feel, Dawn,
Okay.
is what I felt when I went in the loose ring. It is softer on your arm.
Yes.
So now, even though I have a pound, that's kind of like a little bit less pressure.
Mm-hmm.
But now watch the difference between here's a pound and here's the give.
Do that again. I don't feel much.
Yeah, that's the thing. You don't.
Do it again.
Pound, release.
It still sits on my arm
Yeah.
the exact same way.
Exactly. So if Dawn's arm is the horse's mouth, that's the horse's tongue. The pull is less of a pull, so they're more tolerant of it.
Yeah.
But the give is less of a give.
Yeah.
So giving the horse, there's no sweet spot to this bit. So if I want to ride the horse in this light contact, if I give one side of the rein,
I felt nothing.
you want to be able to feel that if you're the horse. I want my horse to be able to feel that. And now the other thing you'll notice
Oh,
is
what happened there?
Yeah.
It's terrible. What is that? I'm sorry. You have to
No,
have a
do you
little
see
fun
what
and
I
make
mean?
some videos, but
Right.
yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah.
rocking and rolling
yeah,
all over
right.
the place.
So this is, I'm pulling just as much as I
Doesn't even
pull
stay
snaffle,
in the-
really, and it moves up. too.
It's
Isn't that
terrible.
weird?
It doesn't even stay in the same spot.
Yeah.
It just migrates all over the
Right.
place.
So the single joint snaffle is just in a way it's less severe, but it's also less like harsh. It's duller. It will make your horse duller.
It's gray.
It's great. So now this is a great bit for someone who has terrible hands on a sensitive horse. She doesn't. Terrible hands on a sensitive horse, this bit will stabilize the bit in the horse's mouth in terms of pain, but it also, do you see how it pulls all the way through? And I'm barely, zoom in on the numbers.
Yeah, it's like
That's not
it's like
even,
a-
that's
it's
not
at
even
one.
2 pounds. That's 1 pound, 2 pounds. You see? It's like I'm hardly pulling it. In the regular snaffle, I would have to pull at least twice this hard, and I don't even know if I could get it all the way around her wrist. Like I can get this all the way around her wrist. And it's coming up
It just seems slippery.
in the horse's mouth.
Yeah.
Right. So even if you go, what if you go like that? So if you're like a horse and you're biting it, okay, yeah. So to hold it in the mouth, Dawn has to like kind of tighten her arm.
My arm.
But now the
But now
pull
you're up.
is less harsh, right? So like,
Yeah.
does this hurt?
Not as much.
Right.
Uh-uh.
So it doesn't hurt when you pull, and that's 2 kilograms, that's like 5 pounds. So 5 pounds is still an acceptable weight for Dawn. 5 pounds in the regular snaffle was way too painful.
But talk to us about a sensitive horse. Maybe they get annoyed with this, would you say?
I personally find I ride mostly warm bloods and a couple ponies. For me, because I have a sensitive touch, like I'm very aware of my contact with the reins. Every horse goes better in the single jointed snaffle for me. Again, someone with a little less educated hands or someone that's a little sloppier or can't control their hands, this might be a better choice at first, but to me, this is just telling your horse to lean on you. I mean, if it's easy, if 5 pounds is not uncomfortable, guess what your horse is gonna do with 5 pounds?
We'll pull even a bit more. It still doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
It doesn't pinch like
Right.
the other one
So
does.
to me, you teach your riders to ride with softer hands, and that's where your quiet is gonna come from. Not that you're pulling so hard and tightening your arm and bringing your shoulders against your rib cage and then trying to sit the trot. You know what I mean?
Right.
That all the horse is gonna do is round and stiffen on this bit, in my opinion, because they're so easy to take that much pressure. So
And
instead
there's no
of
release. There's no release.
there's no release
No
in this
release.
bit. That's to me, the release is the most important thing. So to ride in a bit that has no release, to me, makes no sense. You're gonna make your horse more dull, and most especially with the warm blood, with their big fat tongues and their low palates, this bit just sits in their mouth and then rolls around.
Yep.
And this is like, your warm blood is not gonna give 2 craps about this bit in their mouth. Now we're gonna go back just for one more, back to the regular loose ring. And we're gonna try that going back and forth again so y'all can see the difference again. So right away, now I'll go to 5 pounds. That's 5 pounds. So like, is that comfortable for you?
It's not uncomfortable, but it's not as comfortable as the other bit.
Right.
You know, but it's.
And if I pull one way, that's how much, Armentine? That's like 2
maybe
kilograms.
two-
Yeah,
a
it's
little
about
less.
5 pounds.
Yeah, a little less.
But you see, even with 5 pounds on one rein and half a pound on the other, it's still not pulling through her arm.
No, I feel like it's connected still.
Right.
On the
And the
opposite side.
release, again, that's the most important part. So when I was Dawn and I was the horse and someone was pulling on me, when they released as the horse, I intuitively relaxed sitting in that chair. When the give came, I relaxed. I was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
And in this bit, I feel, can't you feel how the horse would search for that?
Yeah.
Like they would search for the give, because this isn't a constant pressure. This is light. If I want, let's say, I put my leg on and the horse braced. If I do this for a second and release, and it's still half a kilo, which is 1 pound. This is what the horse, in the study that the Germans did with the side reins, this is what the horse willingly takes, 1 pound. So.
This bit would help the horse seek the release
Right.
versus the other bit,
Right.
it's just static always there.
Yep.
So there is no reason to go seeking
Right.
that stretch in my
Right.
mind or anything
Right.
because there's no release that follows.
Correct.
So
Exactly.
It doesn't really set up for success in the long run.
In the long run, I 100% agree. And one of the reasons why I wanted to do this whole experiment was because I've anecdotally felt that, but I had no like measurable proof of that. And then in our third video, we're gonna put this on a horse. So we're gonna ride the horse, and you'll see the contact with an actual horse and judge the horse's reaction by what I'm doing, in both bits. And I think you'll see a difference, just like Dawn felt. Because if Dawn's arm is,
Not as sensitive as a horse's mouth.
right,
that's for
you would
sure.
think the bottom, especially this part of your
Right,
arm,
right.
that's kind of how the horse sees things. Okay, so until the next video, signing off.